It's the Pete Sousa Show. Sports, Pete.
Sports don't stop, and neither do we. Welcome to 365 Sports, your home for real conversations, original shows, and coverage that lives where sports actually happen. Join David Smoke, Craig Smoke, and myself, Paul Catalina, for in-depth interviews and local stories to the moments national media misses. 365 Sports brings you the voices, debates, and perspectives fans care about every single day. Subscribe now on YouTube, search 365 Sports, and never miss a moment because sports aren't seasonal. They're 365.
Nobody tells our stories better than our clients.
The difference is stark. I was rear-ended at a stop. I thought I was fine, and then once I got home, I realized it's a lot worse than I thought. I ended up having a ruptured disc. You say you're not hurting, and then an hour later, you're saying you're in all this pain. I just felt like most people would think that I was lying. And that's when I decided to call Daniel Stark. I owe a lot to Daniel Stark. They really got me what I deserved.
The difference is stark.
Just use AMP-Pace.
Pace.
With Ease US makes studio quality voiceovers for your videos online in over 149 languages and dialects, featuring 468 natural AI voices. Customize the volume, mood, and pauses to perfectly match your content. Plus, capture high quality videos with no watermark. Record your screen, webcam, and voice, and save them instantly to your computer. Never been easier to create professional grade videos and voiceovers. Try it today at easeus.com. That's EASEUS.com. Ease US. Since our founding, we've been revolutionizing hair removal with cutting-edge technology and a commitment to empowerment. The U-Like Air 3, launched in 2023, ushers in a new era of sapphire ice cooling technology, offering nearly painless hair reduction in just 3 weeks. Experience the future of hair removal today at ulike.com, because at Ulike, beauty is about looking and feeling good. That's ULIKE.com. Ulike.
Hey, it's Matt Mosley of The Matt Mosley Show. We want you to watch our show every day, 1 to 3 on YouTube or wherever you get your podcast. And you get to see big name guests like Gary Patterson, Art Briles, Scott Drew, Doug McNamee, major Cowboys insiders, ESPN legends like Sal Palantonio. When news breaks on Cowboys or Baylor or NFL, we want you to look here first. 1 to 3 weekdays, it's the Matt Mosley Show.
Cam, how am I doing? Pretty good, right? Thumbs up?
It's a bit choppy, if we're being honest, Pete.
Is it really? No, you think it's just choppy on your end? Because I'm not seeing anything choppy.
It could
Ready?
be. It could be.
Let's do quality
We've got a
control.
blizzard, so it could be that.
That's right. Let me do a quick quality control. Everybody bear with us. This is what it's all about, okay? It is bad where Cam is, and let me just see. Let's see. I think it might be on your end, bud.
It could be. Now that you say it, things have been loading pretty slowly on my end.
Okay, let me see. Ready? Because I got a hard line. If people notice, you can see me better. Hopefully hear me better. Ready? I'm going to watch. Oh, no, you can't. It's on your end, pal.
Okay.
Oh, wow.
Perfect. That's good. That's
Sounds
good.
good in St. Pete to Kevin Fisher. Baby. Yo, Fish, we got Jay Wright on tomorrow. And maybe Cam can pull off his little black magic and try to get in our head before we do that one. Not choppy in Dallas. There you go. All right. Look at Cam. Cam retreats. Cam, I can still hear you perfectly. So we're going to lean on you here a little bit in segment one.
Okay.
But I'll get to you. I'll call you up. Okay. Just take it easy.
Okay. And I'm if I miss a cue, it's because it's choppy on my end. Just know that, Pete.
Okay.
But
Yeah,
I'm here.
no,
I'm here.
And we will talk a little bit about Cam's Blizzard. I talked to my mom last night. She's not quite sure if she's on foot or horseback. It's snowing in the side yard, but not in the front yard. She was having a chicken pot pie. It was 10 o'clock. Clearly somebody has shipped her more gummies, which is good. But she was having a good time. It seemed like. We won't tell Jay Wright about my mom's new penchant for gummies. She will not be happy. Actually, Jay would probably love that. He loves my mom. I think he'd get a kick out of it. Anyways, we are presented by Slovaceks, Daniel Stark Injury Lawyers. Thank you so much, Socorro Family Ford, of course, Lake Waco Golf Club, 365 Sports, baby, Crawford Austin Properties. We're adding sponsors as we go, and we're really happy to be with you today. We're talking to Matt Babcock, NBA draft analyst, comes from one of the first families of NBA scouting and personnel. I want to ask him, first of all, I would like to ask him about Baylor, how they have 2 first-round draft picks. They can barely squeak by Arizona State. I caught that game on ESPN2 on Saturday. A couple things that were amazing about the game. Mike Monaco, King McClure, the crowd, Arizona State's press. It actually felt like a really cool environment. I got to really give Baylor a lot of credit. That crowd was insane for the circumstances that program is in right now. I don't know if they did just a terrific job marketing, the fact that there was a men's and women's doubleheader. I think the women got bombed by Arizona in the late game, despite friend of the show, Jana Van Geitenbeek's brother, surprising her, courtesy of Nikki Collin pregame. Pretty cool video. Check that out. Her brother came back from overseas and where he was serving, or still is serving America, but he surprised her at the shoot around. It was really cool video. We love Jan, and we're going to get her on here soon, but probably after a win next time. We're going to start with USA Hockey. I called the Memphis. Actually, let's start there real quick. I called Memphis and UAB. FedEx Forum, 11 a.m. tip, ESPN2. A couple awesome things about that game. If you're old like me, the start time was beautiful. I was home back to Dallas by 6 p.m. I had not called a game at FedEx Forum. It was a tremendous basketball venue, and the setup was just, sometimes you go into an arena and the setup as a broadcaster is aces. This was one of those environments. I felt very lucky. Like you're almost like, it's just one of those NBA setups, right? You're on the floor. And everything is right there. And I do think it contributes to a sharper game you're going to call. Memphis is not sharp. And it's a bummer for somebody who grew up like me, appreciating Penny Hardaway and seeing him play at Memphis State, seeing him take Memphis State to the Final Eight, seeing him take the Magic with Shaquille O'Neal to the NBA Finals in 1995. Ultimately, he gets hurt and was really never the same, but was one of the He was a generational talent. I did not call games in the old pyramid. I guess I could have if I was like a total wonderkind, because the last time UAB won in Memphis was at the pyramid. And I got to tell you, we drove by the pyramid going into town, and I've been to Memphis before. What an interesting arena and look, that's a pretty clever move by the city back in the day. It really does make you stand out. But yeah, this game was at the FedEx Forum. I never called games at the pyramid. But Penny Hardaway's in trouble there. Conversation, and maybe this is for another day and another show and another fan. I don't think anybody wants to hear us get into the weeds about whether Penny Hardaway should keep his job. But boy, they went 29-6 last year. They lost Tyrese Hunter before the first round of the NCAA tournament, and then they lost in the first round. So This year, I think you just kind of take it. The messed up stuff that happened to them portal-wise, just like everybody else in the country. But they got some stuff to figure out. Now, you could go into the American tournament and the whole thing, but if you want to do that, you got to at least win a couple of these remaining games so you can get a good seed. Because now some of these conference tournaments, especially mid-majors like the American, they want their best teams to make the NCAA tournament. So if you're the 1 seed in the American Conference this year, you go directly to the semifinals. I mean, you are right there with a real shot at making the NCAA tournament right as the tournament starts. So we'll see how some of that stuff plays out. But and if more experiences or things come to mind about that game, I'll share them with you. But we got to start with say hockey. That goes on in the morning. Let's bring in Cam Stewart. I think he's got on like a Jim Craig jersey.
Ruzioni.
Ruzio, who was there in Milan.
Yep.
Did a quick hit with Mike Tarico after the first period. I felt like Tarico kind of like booted him out a little early. I think they could have kept him for a little longer. Did you notice that a little bit? He was like, okay, we'll see you later.
Yeah. He was like, go have fun. Yeah.
Let's start with Mike Tarico. Okay. Now, obviously Kenny Albert called the game, but at the end of this beautiful sequence that saw America win the gold medal, Tarico gives like a 60-second, almost like a columnist come to life, right?
Yeah.
And people do the thing that you and I dislike, right? There was a lot of like this in all caps.
Everything.
And the Mike Tarico monologue. What did you think about the monologue, and where do you think is Mike Tarico one of the best play-by-play guys on planet Earth right now? But is he now like at an apex that is maybe a little almost too lofty for even him right now?
Yes and yes. Like, I do think what he's doing is really impressive, right? Like, he does go from the dude called the Super Bowl a couple weeks ago to then to doing the Olympics, and obviously does the Summer Olympics as well. He's got his hands in so many different things here. I don't know that it's more impressive than, say, like what Kenny Albert did, having to know an entire dozen international hockey teams, right before doing this tournament and then doing it. But like, they're both impressive. But yeah, it's probably a little over the top with Tarico at this point. Like, I know Tarico's good. You know what I mean? I don't need to hear any more of it. And the post gold medal thing actually really reminded me of, I did watch Miracle on Saturday. And it's obviously very Disney-ified at the end. Like, you've just had this dramatic moment. You've handled it perfectly as a movie, right? Like, I thought they nailed the celebration and everything from the Miracle on Ice. And then you get 2 minutes of Kurt Russell as Herb Brooks talking over it about how great it is and how schmaltzy it is and how we can't believe in anything anymore. That's kind of what it felt like with Tarico yesterday. Not that it was bad, but it's just like, man, we saw it. Like, we don't need you to pontificate necessarily on, what just happened in front of our eyes. Like, it was a huge
I agree. And for me, it's a little bit of a shock to the system in a sense that I'm like a traditional media consumer, in a sense that I'm like, whoa, wait a minute. So now the host and the play-by-play guy is doing an opinion piece. I didn't know that we were headed for that, but he has certainly reached that status where, if Mike Tarico wants to do 60 seconds, and that's all it was, by the way. So credit to him.
Yeah.
If he wants to do 60 seconds to wax poetic about the U.S. gold medal team,
do a Howard Cosell here. Yeah.
Yes, he certainly earned the right. Yeah, I love what you mentioned about Miracle, because I read the Al Michaels book maybe like a year and a half ago, and I listened to it, and there's one chapter that Al actually does, and it's the one about the '80 Olympic team, and he rereads his open, and if you watch the open for that game, it is perfect in a sense where it's a little too much Al Michaels. Like, he's really loving it, feeling himself, but boy, he nailed it. He nailed that whole thing. And the open, like, if a play-by-play guy tried to do that today, they'd be like, hey dude, settle down. Like,
they'd
even
be
for the
ripped
Super Bowl
on Twitter. Yeah.
Yes. But that was right place, right time, right moment. And
look, Pete. There's a lot of people in the crowd today that don't know the difference between a blue line and a clothesline. It's irrelevant. It doesn't matter.
And then
what we have here is something, the rarest of sporting events, with no what does he say? With no superlatives, no extraordinary whatever. But manifestly, it is a hockey game between the United States and the Soviet Union. And I'm like, oh,
you should memorize that, dude.
I should. That should be like people memorize the speech, Herb Brooks' speech. I should be memorizing that. I mean, I almost had it down there.
You did. And he talks about money, tickets,
face value.
Face value on the street.
67.20. They're going for 3 times the face value outside. Yeah.
Which back in America, in a slump financially, at the time, that was a huge deal.
Yeah.
And it really did impress upon the audience just what was happening with this game in the world, in the country, and in Lake Placid. The fact that, just one more thing on the 80 Olympic team, that it'd be like having the Olympics in Waco, Texas. Like the fact that they had the Olympics in Lake Placid, New York is one of the more mind-blowing things. Twice. When was the first time?
1932 and 1980.
Well, do you know anything? Like, was there any story that has jumped out to you over the years as you've like read about this 80 hockey team or that 80 Olympics, like Eric Heiden or anything, that like logistically they really struggled with?
No. Well, that's an interesting question though, because like you look at the other sites, and the Winter Olympics for a long time was like a small town deal. Obviously a huge event, but it was done in villages, right? Innsbruck and Chamonix was the first one. I guess we're not allowed to call the 1960 Olympics in Squaw Valley anymore. I don't know if that's politically incorrect, but everything yesterday they said outside of Lake Tahoe. So I guess we can't say Squaw Valley, but that was another one that was, and I just said it twice. That was like a small town. So that's a good point. Like it must have been a nightmare, right? But I guess you just came to expect it. At the Winter Olympics, we didn't get those in big cities until like, I don't know. I guess Lillehammer's a decent sized city.
88 was Alberta.
Calgary. That's not bad. That's a city. That's a legit city. Yeah.
So, okay. So that's interesting. Let's talk a little bit about the game. And that's why you're the perfect guy to have on this morning. I really luck out. What were your, like, were you surprised that they won? Just take me inside your thoughts on yesterday, and like bullet points, and if you could write a column come to life, like give it to me right now,
man. Oh man. I mean, in terms of like on paper going into this Olympics, like it's not a huge shock that the U.S. won, right? Like Canada is great, and that's one of the greatest teams they've ever put on the ice. But the U.S. is also that good. But the way the game was going, it was a little surprising because Canada really carried the play for about 50 minutes of that game. They had the U.S. on the back foot, and it's just it's crazy, and it feels like an upset, like a huge upset, because we never beat them. We never beat them when it matters. We never beat Canada in best on best. The last two like major tournaments that American fans think of, the 24 Four Nations and the 2010 Winter Olympics, they beat Canada in the prelims both times and then lost to them in the championship. And like the formative memory for kids of my generation was seeing Sidney Crosby score against us in overtime in Vancouver in 2010. And it's this perfect storybook ending for the other guys. And I've had to watch that goal for 16 years now, and with nothing to come back with. And now we're going to see that goal forever, but now we've got one. and that feels really good. Pete, this was like a big moment for me sports-wise. Like this was a huge sports win, a huge sports
Did you get
highlight.
Emotional?
A little, yeah. I did. I freaking love hockey, man. I love the sport. I love it on an international level. And we have been the bridesmaid for a long time. And it looked like we were only going to have just this one once in a lifetime, I don't want to say fluky, but kind of fluky, miracle thing happened. And that was going to be it. We sold our soul for that. And my dad and people of his generation could tell you all where they were and that we weren't going to have that moment. So this was like a huge deal and will be probably even bigger in 15, 20 years. But for the men and the women to take gold off Canada was a huge deal. But yes, because the women have been good, this was a bigger deal for the men to finally beat Canada.
How has USA Hockey evolved like this? Like what is happening within the walls of U.S. Hockey? Do they even train in Colorado Springs? I don't even know. But wherever they train, like what's happening that they have been able to, on the men's and women's side, beat Canada and come into this tournament, like you're saying, this Olympics, like it's not a surprise that they won. Where are they in the pecking order?
Yeah, I mean, they are right there. In men's hockey, these are the two powers now, right? It used to be Canada and kind of everybody else, right? Sweden and Finland and Russia were pretty close, but not quite at Canada. Now it's the U.S. and Canada, and then, the Russia, like the U.S. is there. And I'll keep this quick because I know we got to move on here in a second.
What time do we have Babcock?
We've got him anytime we want him. Actually, so I'll keep this quick. But the big thing for the US,
here now?
Yes, he's just gotten it. Is the national like this was big for the national development program, Pete, which started about I want to say like really kicked into high gear like 15 years ago. And the guy who scored, Jack Hughes, was a guy who played for the national development program all throughout. He did not go to Canadian juniors. He did not go to a college hockey team, which is now popular for some of the best prospects in the world. He got drafted #1 overall straight from the national development program. And all these guys on this team went through that program. And, you talk about Jack Hughes and Quinn Hughes. Those guys were born in Florida. Austin Matthews, the captain, was born in Arizona. There's a lot of Michigan, a lot of Boston, but it goes beyond that. And this win was a testament to that program and the development of USA Hockey. So it's huge for these guys, but it's even bigger for the next generation.
How are they getting guys? Last question. How are they getting guys in places like Arizona to find interest in ice hockey?
It's a great question. I don't know exactly how Austin Matthews got into it. He had to move to Europe as a teenager just so he could play. Same thing with the Hughes kids. They grew up a couple different places where their dad was coaching. So that was a part of it. But they had to move to Michigan when they were in like late middle school, early high school, just so they could play kind of competitive hockey. Hockey that was at their level. I think Zach Werenski, one of the defensemen, had to do the same thing just to get to a team where they could keep up with them.
All right, so let's go right to Matt Babcock. Last thing on this is the best line. I was just about to walk over to the arena for the game, and Kenny Albert said, "Jack Hughes back on the ice, not sure about his teeth." I was like, man, this is like that was something where I was like, wow, this has all of it. It was very hard to leave an actual like anchored spot where I was watching this game. But it was fun. It was phenomenal. Special day. We'll talk a little bit more about it. And I see a lot of people in the chat right now on Twitter and YouTube. If you have any questions for Matt Babcock about the NBA draft, I will vet them first. Feel free to chime in because I know we got a lot of hoop heads in the chat. All right, let's bring them on. Right now, Matt Babcock is a friend of the show, and he's always busy canvassing the country, minding these NBA talents, future talents. Matt, first of all, welcome back to the show, and thank you so much for joining us.
No, hey Pete, thanks for having me. I always love coming on your show, and you're right, I am busy. I got home last night, and was on the road for a few days in LA watching some games, and now I'm home for a few days and heading to Tucson this weekend. I got two big ones in line. I got KU at Arizona and Iowa State at Arizona. So action-packed time of year right now.
We're in Big 12 country, right? Here in Texas. We're in Dallas this morning. Talk to me about the Big 12 and how much time you are spending covering the Big 12, analyzing guys like AJ Dybantsa, Cameron Carr, Tunde Yesufu, of course, Darryn Peterson. Like, how much, when you think about the totality of the players you're seeing, how much percentage-wise are you spending in the Big 12 this season because of the lofty expectations we have around these prospects?
No, absolutely. I mean, I think the Big 12 is the cream of the crop right now. I mean, from a team college basketball lens, but then also from an NBA lens as well. I mean, you know, like you mentioned, Darryn Peterson, AJ Dybantsa, Kingston Flemings. I mean, the list goes on. But I mean, there are some really good players, and I've watched all these teams a lot this year, and it's funny, it's so competitive. There's still a lot of work to do, which is, you know, it's made it challenging for me, you know, having to juggle so many moving parts. But it's really fun because it's a great problem to have, because it's because we have so many great prospects this year.
When you look at AJ Dybantsa and Darryn Peterson, that's been the talk a lot around this Big 12 picture and obviously the NBA draft picture. What separates, I want to help people forget about the Darryn Peterson availability stuff right now, although that's hard to forget. When you put the two of those guys together at full strength, who is Matt Babcock taking number one?
You know, to start the year, I mean, pretty much all year, I've had Darryn Peterson at number one. Obviously, I'm seeing all the things that everybody else is seeing, and there are questions. And I think right now there's more questions than answers. You know, I mean, I think you know, whatever Bill Self says, I mean, I think he's doing a great job of it, but it's somewhat damage control, right? And so, I mean, I think the way I look at it is, the optics aren't great. I mean, for example, I think this weekend will be my 5th time seeing KU in person, and I've only seen Peterson once, you know, and so hasn't been out there consistently. I mean, him pulling himself out of games, it just doesn't look good. But then on the other side of it, injuries are a part of sports, and lingering injuries and you know, pain management and things like this are common. And so, I mean, I think, you know, the other way of looking at it is it'd be very easy just to shut him down. And he's still playing, he's still grinding out, he's taking these bumps and bruises and still going. And so I'm kind of torn. But from a you know, evaluating both players and their skill sets, it's close. They're different style of players, but I think both have a chance to become superstars. That they have that level of upside and potential. And again, just you know, the drama starts at the top, if you will.
It always does. For you as a scout, and you have a lot of relationships. I mean, obviously you're overseeing and you founded Babcock Hoops, but you know everybody, you talk to everybody. What is the talk among NBA personnel guys about the Darryn Peterson? You know, I was calling the game when he took himself out at Oklahoma State, and it was so quick, you know, you barely noticed, but really we thought, okay, the guy's got 22 points. He's been taken out of the game because he's been often injured and the team's ahead by so much. That was not the case. What are guys saying about situations like that when he's taking himself out of games? And like you mentioned, 5 times to see Darryn Peterson, you've actually only seen him play once. If the draft were today, how does that affect him?
I mean, if the draft were today, I mean, I think a lot of people would lean to Dybantsa just because of these looming questions. And keep in mind that, you know, when he was in high school, there were a lot of chatter about his camp being very overprotective, if you will. And so there were some questions going into the season. So it being clunky like this, it certainly hasn't helped him. And to answer your question of if it were today, I do think it would most likely be Dybantsa, because there hasn't been time to get a lot of those questions answered. I think the pre-draft process is going to be very telling as far as getting teams the information they need and comfortability to take him or pass on him. You know, he's going to be forced to go through medical testing at the NBA Draft Combine to be eligible to be drafted. That was something they changed in the last collective bargaining agreement. So I think the doctor's getting some information, figuring out are these lingering issues, you know, how problematic are they? And if they're not, I mean, I think there's another way of looking at this too, is, you know, what's his mindset, what's his approach, you know, sort of like this looming softness question, right? Is he going to battle through injuries and tough times? Because being a pro athlete, being a pro basketball player, there's going to be more injuries. There's going to be a lot of things where mental toughness is going to be tested. And that's part of the evaluation. And again, I think there's just more questions than answers right now. And so the pre-draft process will be important. And they're going to want to talk to him. I mean, they're going to talk to him and talk to his agent and really try and figure out what is going on here. And is it going to stop him from maximizing his potential and, being the face of the franchise?
It's funny, Matt, when you and I were kids, we had all these superstars, and I hate even bringing this up, but like, a Lenny Bias, like the William Bedford draft, like all these guys who got taken away by addiction issues. And, certain drugs were brand new on the scene at that point in time. Now and I think it's part of the solution, but the mental health thing is kind of interesting. As a Sixers fan growing up in Philly, I look at Markelle Fultz, I look at Ben Simmons, that is now sort of a piece of the equation, I would imagine, for you guys. And this is the last thing I want to ask you on this. I don't want to roll around the mud the whole time, but how much do you guys take that into consideration now, the mental health aspect of these players? Because to what you're saying, there is a point in time where it's like, you're an NBA ball player. If you're going to be the best, you've got to power through this stuff. If you're going to be a role player, it's a different story. But you're talking about teams taking the number one pick in the draft or taking a shot on this guy with number one. How much is the mental health stuff coming into play now?
Yeah, I mean, I think everything matters, right? I mean, I think at this day and age with social media, I mean, information is shared and exchanged so fluidly now. It's easy for us to figure out who has talent and who has potential. It's all the other stuff, right? And so, I mean, mental health, mental makeup, each player's support circle. I mean, pretty much we're looking at all these different variables, okay, and weighing out who's got the potential, who's got the abilities to play right now, but who has the potential, who can we project that has the talent to develop into a player we want them to be in a few years? And then are there any potential roadblocks? Mental health, mental makeup, I mean, all these things I think are contributing factors to allow people like myself and teams, pretty much, kind of weigh it out. What is the probability for success on each guy? Because the fact of the matter is that each one of them are huge investments for these franchises, especially this year with so much talent. You really can't get these picks wrong at the top.
This is a good one right here from Jeff. What do you think about AJ Dybantsa, Darryn Peterson, and a guy like Boozer when you compare him to Cooper Flagg last year, like the context? Because Cooper was, the end all be all, right? But there's a bunch of guys now, and Cooper Flagg was so super, but then maybe it fell off behind him. When you look at those three guys, like, Boozer, Dybantsa, and Darryn Peterson, how do they compare to last year and Cooper Flagg?
It's funny. I mean, all four of them are very different players, but I would say personally, I would have them all in the same category. I mean, I think I almost wish Cooper hadn't reclassified to make this draft even that much more exciting. I think he'd be in the mix, and I haven't really thought about it too much as far as like where I would put him in the rankings. He would certainly be in the mix, and I think would have a chance of still being the number one pick. But I mean, that's saying a lot because Cooper Flagg is a really good prospect. I mean, the kid is already doing really good things in the NBA, and he's young. I mean, he's just scratching the surface of what he's going to become. But I mean, I think that said, where there's debate there, I mean, that's how good a draft this is.
Matt, what about when you look at like guys at Baylor, Cam Carr, Tunde Yesufu? The season has not gone the way I think both of those guys had wanted. I think Carr kind of burst onto the scene, reminding us of how good he was, when he went to Tennessee going in there. And now he's healthy. He's getting playing time. He's been sensational, but the team hasn't been playing terribly well together. And at times, both players have sort of disappeared. How are they doing heading into, being analyzed more than ever with the draft coming in June? Where are they right now?
Yeah, I mean, I think individually, I mean, both have these skill sets and physical tools that are really intriguing. I mean, I think I personally do value kids that come from programs that are winning. I think it's a variable that's something that's sort of a notch on the positive side of things. But I mean, both are really good players, and I think that they're going to have a good chance of being solid first round picks. Like you said, I'm just sort of unfortunate that their team has struggled a bit.
How about Kingston Flemings? A guy like that everybody is talking about, and that's a winning program, dude. A program that's done tremendous. Has he surprised you how well he's played and the breakout he's had? And where do you see a guy like that going in the draft?
Yeah, I love the Kingston Fleming story that's unfolded this year, and a kid that he was more of a guy I knew his name. I don't think I had seen him play in high school. He played on a smaller AAU circuit, and they kind of kept him away from the bright lights, if you will. Going into the season, I was at the Players there in Vegas for a few days in November, and I mean, he just took off. And watching him up close and personal, he's playing for Kelvin Sampson, who I absolutely love and really admire, but a very demanding coach. And he stepped into this veteran team that went to the Final Four last year. And I mean, he clearly had earned the respect of Kelvin and all of his teammates, and really just kind of used that time of the year as a launching pad. And he's really not far behind that top group. I mean, I've got him right now at number 5, right behind Caleb Wilson, who's another guy. But yeah, I mean, he's just a really, really incredible player that is like well beyond his years. I mean, he demands so much respect, and I mean, just as a gamer, I mean, he's coming up in big moments for this team. That's one of the best teams in the country, and from a skill set attributes standpoint, he is so quick. I mean, he's got like Iverson type quickness, and he gets to his spots. He gets to his pull up anytime he wants. He's a tough cover. I mean, another guy that's got star potential.
A big part of this for you guys is actually, and I love this about scouting, seeing in person, seeing the body language, seeing how they carry themselves, talking to people around the program, right? Whether it's the equipment guy or the general manager of the team, right? Whoever you can access and get time with. Who is a player that when you got on ground zero to watch them play surprised you and you thought, man, this guy is more than I thought he was, after the experience of seeing him in person and doing a little bit of digging, almost like I see you guys as private investigators sometime, which I think is really cool?
I mean, this is probably going to be somewhat of an obvious answer, but I think Cooper Flagg is a guy. I mean, I've watched him since he was in high school, but he was one of those guys. The more you learned about him, the more confidence you had that he was going to succeed. And it wasn't as much of he checked all these boxes from a skill set standpoint. I mean, he did, but it was more of the little stuff. You go watch him play, you see how locked in he is. He doesn't take any possessions off. He plays hard. And I think playing hard and having a high motor is a skill that's oftentimes overlooked or undervalued. And a guy that's going to be locked in and consistently give it 100%. The chances of them maximizing their potential are high. And so Cooper Flagg's one guy that comes to mind of a guy that's like, I have a lot of confidence, and I know a lot of other scouts did too. I was like, this guy is going to contribute to winning at a very high level because of the way he's wired.
Being around AJ Dybantsa this year, seeing him, talking to him a little bit, this is my personal opinion. He's a great kid. Sometimes he can come off as like a little aloof. This is just me talking here, okay? My interactions with him. But his parents kick ass. He's a great kid from everybody you talk about. And you see him on the floor, and it's undeniable at this age, like how well he is doing. And what he's doing for his draft stock. What about him has allowed him to almost do a masterclass in how to handle all this stuff? Because I have not seen all this noise rattle him at all. And there's a lot of noise, and he seems to almost navigate the waters of social media and all the attention so very well. Is there something about him that has jumped out to you in a real positive regard as a kid that makes you appreciate him and improves his draft status?
100%. I mean, a guy that's been on the scene from the get-go. I mean, a ton of hype, around him through high school. And I saw some of those things, and those were some of my concerns going into the year of, hey, I saw the toughness, I saw the elite talent, physical tools and all that, a little aloof, maybe a little cool in high school. And I was curious to see how it all would translate, and would he take the proper steps in his development, kind of just as like a human, being a good teammate and all these things, right? And my first game of the year, or actually second game, was a doubleheader. It was when Arizona beat Florida, and then the second game was BYU Villanova. And he was really good. It was his first college basketball game, and I thought he was too passive. I think he'd kind of heard some of those rumblings of like, hey, maybe this guy's got some selfishness to him, like some dog stuff. And so I thought from the get-go he'd really turned it up. And I think going to play for an NBA experienced coach and Kevin Young was probably a really good move. And KY is not shy. I mean, he's giving them the real tough love coaching, and it's working. I mean, I think he's really found a great balance of being a good teammate, playing good basketball, but being that killer instinct alpha dog when he needs to be. And I mean, the fact of the matter is he does all these great things. That this guy is a dynamite scorer. When he locks in and decides he wants to take over a game, he's got the ability to do it.
How much? I think this is so cool because calling a game out there, I met his dad. How much does that help his draft stock? You got a father who was a police officer in Boston at Boston University and then other parts for like 30 years. Like that is that he comes from real good stock, right? As far as the discipline, and a guy who just knows how to handle himself, right? Being on time, understanding all the little things.
No, 100%. I mean, I alluded to this before, but it's not just one thing. There's so many things and so many different variables we're looking at to come to a comprehensive evaluation of a kid. And the fact of the matter is that they are kids. I mean, even think about this. I mean, we've got these like 5th, 6th year guys. They're still in their early 20s. They're young still, right? And so, I mean, especially if we're looking at 18, 19-year-olds, I mean, we're having to project. And sometimes it feels like we're shooting darts here, but I think that as far as really kind of projecting success and the highest levels of probability there, everything matters. And so I mean, I think getting a grip of a guy's physical profile, his mental makeup, his skill set, background, personality, family, all these things influence whether a player is going to succeed or not. And so I'm one that really needs a well balanced sort of group of information to come to that comprehensive evaluation. And so, yes, long story short, yes, it absolutely matters.
All right, a couple more before I let you out of here. You mentioned Kevin Young. I love seeing these guys go to BYU. Richie Saunders is a great example, and this is like a two-pronged question. One, how much as a talent evaluator, when you see a guy go to play at BYU and Kevin Young and what he does for the development of these guys, how much does that sort of help guys in the NBA circle be like, okay, that guy's with Kevin Young. He told me this kid's legit. I would imagine that relationship and coming from a guy like that, it maybe almost means a little more. And also, second half of that, a guy like Richie Saunders, how does he go forward? This is a guy who's flirting with being in the first round. Now he's got that injury, the sidelines him for the rest of the year. Where is he right now?
Yeah, so the first part of your question, I mean, relationships matter. Relationships matter with intel gathering. And to be completely honest with you, I mean, a lot of college coaches have agendas, and I kind of take what they say to be with a grain of salt. KY is a friend, so I certainly would trust him, and I think his experience in the NBA, I'd be interested to see what he had to say about his players because he's got a great grip on the little details of how things function on a day-to-day basis in the NBA. And so I think last year, I think my first game last year was to go see Yegor Demin in Provo, and I was really impressed with everything that they put together with their staff. The support there is incredible, and one thing I've heard from their staff that they often use in their recruiting pitches to these top guys is like, hey, come to Provo. There's not going to be a whole lot of distractions off the floor for you as far as going to parties and getting in trouble. And so the kids going there, obviously there's a lot of financial considerations that motivate guys to go there. But I find that interesting too, because the guys are going in there and they're locking in and chasing their dreams, which I love. The second part of your question with Richie Saunders, what a devastating blow. I mean, for the team, and I just feel for Richie. I mean, I've been following him. Seems like a really great kid, great competitor, and really was playing himself into a position to be a solid draft pick. I had him as a solid second rounder. And I think a big thing with him is, the medical testing, getting a grip of, okay, how does it all look? I mean, all that stuff's over my head. I'm not a doctor, but I mean, I think this day and age, guys are able to recover from these types of injuries and come back full force. And so I'm hoping, and I think he'll be in a good spot to still have a really good chance of carving out a role in the NBA.
Matt Babcock, your intel is almost your setup is almost as good as your intel. I love that. I love that background, dude. I absolutely love it. Where can people find all your information? I know Babcock Hoops, right? The website?
Yeah, BabcockHoops.com, and then we're on most social platforms. My handle personally is Matt Babcock11, and then at Babcock Hoops. And we've got a full staff of scouts, and we've got scout reports just about on everybody in the draft. We're still working on a few reports, but we've got, I think, like 140 reports up and rankings, the whole deal. We got some great content and a bunch of people that just love basketball, and we're grinding it out.
It's the place I go before I have games that feature these big names. So I appreciate it, Matt. Yeah, dude. Thanks for taking the time to come out and chat with us today. We'll get with you now. I'll track you down as we get further into the spring and close to the draft, man. I appreciate your time. Safe travels.
Likewise. Anytime. I love coming on.
All right. Take care, Matt. Matt Babcock. The guy really knows it all. And I can promise you, I think it matters so much that he is there. I'm telling you guys, like when you have a guy like Matt, an experience like his, and you know that that guy is actually going to games, it's the tango that you need, right, to get the best information on these players. Cam, you popped right up after that interview, almost as though you had something to say or question. What do you
look? Matt Babcock kind of said all I needed to say. I mean, and fascinating for our show because, like, that is kind of the foremost expert we could bring in to talk about this Peterson Dybantsa thing we've talked about the last couple of weeks. You know, we're not like Bill Self, even if he came on the show tomorrow, is not going to, we will have a Hall of Fame coach tomorrow, but even if Bill Self came on, he's not going to tell us what's happening with Darryn Peterson. Right. Yeah. But this was a great perspective of, like, you know, he basically said in there, like, Peterson's got to explain this at some point. And there's really nothing we can think of right now, because we're not in the locker room, that is going to be a good answer for an NBA GM for a team that's picking in the top 5 of the draft, right? A team that's saying, with our pick, we are getting our franchise cornerstone.
I think lost in that interview was the hottest take of the day, which was me comparing cocaine addiction to mental health. I mean, I
thought that was good. I thought that was a real Bill Simmons moment for you.
Well, look, it's true. I mean, and it just came to me. I think about those guys that I loved watching when I was a kid and asking my dad and my brothers questions like, what the hell happened to William Bedford? Like seriously, like what, and not getting an answer that made any sense at the time. And saying, what the hell happened to Markelle Fultz? What the hell happened to Ben Simmons? Like, you know, I always go back to this, but the human condition is an MFer, man. And it takes, and I'm starting to think now, and this is one more thing I'll say before the break. And Brendan Haywood, little name drop, even got on my ass about this when we called a couple games together, because I would go jogging and I would complain about my hamstrings. And he was like, dude, the only thing that's going to help your hamstrings is rest. Like, that's it. And even now, after taking a lot of time off jogging, I will go jogging again and I'll be like, oh my God, is my hamstring messed up? Now, I'm old and I'm not Darryn Peterson, but I was thinking the other day when I was jogging and my hamstring was hurting, like, maybe I need to take it easy on Darryn Peterson. Like, some of this stuff is real. You know, like if you hit a 3 and on the way up the court, you felt your hamstring twinge, you probably bug out a little bit. But again, that's the mental health. You got to figure out how you're navigating that. Either you're shutting it down and you're hurt, or you're not. And therein lies the problem. Right, Cam?
Yeah, because I was going to say part of this is, you know, he might just be an injury concern.
Yeah.
You know, like that. And that's not really Darryn Peterson's fault. You know, we see that all the time. These guys that just can't stay on the court. And I think that is also very concerning to NBA teams. You know, he could come into these meetings and say, yeah, I've had this and I've had this. And it's all the hamstring's been an underlying thing. And I was gutting through it. I wanted to get out there for my team. And like, that's admirable. It is, if that's the case. But then if you're an NBA team, you got to be thinking, we are going to double this kid's workload in terms of games. He's going to travel more than he ever has before. It's going to be a different schedule than he's ever had before. Like, we're going to have, you know, back-to-backs. We're going to have back-to-backs with travel. We're going to, like, that is a thing to take into consideration, even if he is gutting it out and, you know, trying to do something for his team right now and just giving it all he can. You know, he had some injuries in high school too. So there are concerns about that. Ask Zion Williamson.
How about Babcock? That was something I did not know about the chatter in high school. I haven't followed the situation that closely, that this is something that was more alarming to me than anything that I heard. Okay, let's take a break. We'll come back. We'll wrap this baby up and we will talk about tomorrow, but we've got some more stuff to talk about today. I got a couple things I want to bounce off you guys. Some stuff I think I know you'll find interesting. Okay, let's step aside. The Pete Sousa Show continues. We're presented by Slovaceks. Thank you guys so much for jumping in the chat. Sorry I didn't get to ask all the questions, but I asked a couple. And yeah, man, you guys mean a lot. I appreciate it. We'll be back in a sec.
Hey, it's Zach Gelb. We're talking NFL and college football. Plus, we have some of the biggest interviews in sports media. You got to check out the Zach Gelb Show right here on 365 Sports, weekdays, 2 to 4 p.m. Eastern, 1 to 3 p.m. Central. And make sure you subscribe to my channel, youtube.com/@Zach Gelb Show.
Save big during the Start Something New sales event at Allen Samuels Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram in Waco. Drive a new Ram 1500 Lone Star Crew Cab with $13,000 off or choose 0% financing. Get a new Laramie Crew Cab 4-wheel drive with 3.9% financing for 72 months plus $15,000 off MSRP. Explore in a new Jeep Grand Cherokee Laredo starting at $31,990. Happening now at Allen Samuels.
Come by. Let's be friends.
Hi, I'm Jo from Face Theory. You're going to want to have a specific goal for your skincare routine. What do you want to achieve? Active ingredients are really strong, and if you're using too many at once, your skin can get overwhelmed. Don't overspend on products. Choose products that have scientific research behind them. At Face Theory, if you're not happy with a product, just say so, just give us a shout and we'll give you your money back, no problem.
Streamline event and appointment booking with Amelia's sleek, modern, and fully customizable booking forms. Tailor the colors, fonts, and design to match your brand and seamlessly integrate with your WordPress website. Whether it's for events or appointments, Amelia makes booking simple, stylish, and perfectly aligned with your business. Enhance your booking experience today at WPAmelia.com. That's WPAMELIA.com. Amelia.
When you learn a language with Babbel, you start a journey that takes you further and further. Anytime and anywhere you wish. It's easy and fun. Broadens your horizons and keeps your brain fit. A journey into new thoughts, new cultures, new adventures. So what are you waiting for? Start your journey with Babbel now. Go to babbel.com or download the app.
If you want a Boston sports show that's going to insult you as a fan and only cares about getting back at their old hosts or who Bill Belichick is dating, then keep tuning your radio. But if you want a sports show that's wicked good, wicked smart, wicked passionate, then you need the Wicked Boston Show with me, Cam Stewart. It is the only Boston sports talk show that is by the fans and for the fans. One voice in this city where the only BS is Boston sports. The Wicked Boston Show.
BadCreditLoans.com is a pioneering service provider that has carved a reputation in the financial industry for its dedication to helping individuals with bad credit secure loans. By making timely repayments, borrowers can gradually repair their credit history, thereby increasing their chances of securing better loan terms in the future. BadCreditLoans.com serves as a beacon of hope for those with bad credit. Simple, fast, and reliable loan application process. And its commitment to responsible borrowing makes it a trusted partner in the journey towards financial stability.
All right, the Pete Sousa Show rolls on, rocking and rolling on. Couple more items to go over. As Cam's struggling with some technical stuff, but that's fine, Cam. Don't worry. I got you covered, dude. We got through the diciest part of the broadcast with you here, and that was welcoming in a guest, and it went really smooth. We'll if you're just joining us, we're going to put that Matt Babcock NBA draft analysis question and answer on the Pete Sousa Show YouTube page. We are surging, baby, closing in on 98,000 subs. Shouldn't be too long till we got 100. I appreciate all the participation. Appreciate Chris Visser. Appreciate Cam Stewart. Appreciate 365 Sports. Corey Dickman and John Valle. We're really making it happen. We will be in our Waco studio tomorrow. I've got, I can't say this. I have business to attend to this week in Central Texas. I got a bunch of doctor's appointments. I'm actually going to go out and see some of our sponsors. Got to see my therapist. So I don't go, Markel Fultz or Ben Simmons on you guys. Trying to think, I got one other thing to do. I got a bunch.
By
of
the
stuff
way,
to do.
Pete, speaking of that, did you see Ben Simmons enter back into the sports zeitgeist yesterday during the gold medal game? There was.
I saw Stephen A. was talking about him last week. What happened to that?
Well, so there was this chance in like the first period for the U.S. where Austin Matthews gets the puck and he's like 6 feet from the goal. And it's like, it's right there. Now, Binnington, the goalie, comes out, cuts down the angle pretty well, but he ends up passing it. He tries to do a backdoor passing play instead of just shooting it. It's the guy who scored 70 goals a couple years ago. And all I saw for like an hour on my timeline was just that picture next to Simmons under the basket all alone and passing it. It was like,
I want to say it's funny. I want to jump in and be like, I can't bring myself to say this, and two things are going to connect now. You made me think of something. I want to say that's a total bitch move, but I know better than to say that about an athlete. Like, I might say he's a wuss, whatever. So I'm getting ready for this Memphis game, and I'm listening to. There's a lot of the natives are getting restless in Grind City around Penny Hardaway. So I'm listening to this podcast, which is one that was really highly trafficked by Memphis fans and people around the country. And these three guys are on after Memphis lost to USF last year. And Aaron Bradshaw is one of the better players on Memphis. And when he's in the game, they got a real shot. Anyways, he got 2 early fouls at USF, and Penny Hardaway put him on the bench for the rest of the half. And this guy who's on this podcast is saying, like, that's coaching like a bitch. And I'm just like, oh my God. I was like, first of all, I saw my buddy yesterday, Doc Holliday, who I've called games with, and Doc is Penny's cousin. And I swear I wanted to be like, yo, Doc, this podcast right here called Penny a bit. Like, I really wanted to do that because I feel like there needs to be like a governing body over those places, because I'd love to put that guy in front of Penny and have him say, you're coaching like a bitch. Now, you can lose your mind. You really can. As a sports fan, like, get pissed, whatever, complain. But like, when you start saying like a guy's coaching like I just don't know. Right. Like, I think there are lines like that's pretty bad. That's pretty bad. So that gave me like chills. You wouldn't do that, would you? Maybe on one of your famous rants.
I was just thinking that. I don't know. Like, I don't know. I would love to say that I'm classy enough that I wouldn't, but I don't know. I've used the P word quite a bit when talking about coaches, GMs, players. Like, that was a P move.
By the way, that's why you guys should watch the Wicked Boston show. I mean, I'm telling you,
unhinged, man.
This guy right here, he really knows his audience. Like, he comes on to this show and he really fulfills his requirement, like, beyond, right, what he's supposed to do. Well, and he presents himself as this guy who actually knows how to move through the world. If you watch this Wicked Boston show, you'll have a whole nother take on this guy. I'm telling you, it's totally different, which is why you got to get Sully on, dude, and talk to him about the Bruins at some point.
It's true. And we got the
It's
Bruins
not like I told him and
up.
he's waiting on your phone call, but at some point that'd be a good guy for you to just go crazy on.
Yeah,
and he wouldn't emotionally respond, but he would respect it, and you guys would have a great conversation, because I bet he'd agree with you on a lot of stuff.
And then he texts you about how unhinged this kid is. You're like,
no,
where did you find this guy?
So he's
Good.
unhinged.
Good.
It's all good. All right, last thing, and then I'll get us out of here. How about Duke? I want to talk to you about Duke real quick. Huge win for Duke. Worked with Spatola, like I mentioned on yesterday. He and I are becoming like buddies. We had Chili's at the airport. He's just
that's like a proposal, basically.
Yeah, and he is like a Seinfeld guy. Like, he gets it. Like, he lives in the awkward world that we live in. So he's very funny. Like, he gets all the little stuff. But I get to have lunch with this guy, and he knows so much. He's been broadcasting for so long. Before he was an assistant at Duke. After he was assistant at Duke, the guy served the U.S. served our country 2 tours of duty, if I'm not mistaken. Just a real renaissance man. He's got a pod with him and Dallin Cuff. But we were talking about Duke, and I can do his impression a little bit. He's like, "Oh, that's a statement. That's a statement. Like, I don't think anybody saw Duke coming out and playing like that. I think it's." He was even surprised at how well the Dukies played, and I was too. Duke showed me last night, and again, I don't know why this surprises me. I think it's some of my prejudice. They keep reminding me that they have real teeth, this program, and I don't know if it's John Shire complaining about court storming or the fact that we just look at Duke and I still have, the Jalen Rose from the documentary, like that whole thing, But this is This is a tough team, dude.
Yes, and that's as good as defensively as I've seen them play all season. When you consider the competition, right?
You play defense like that, you can win a national title. There's no question.
Absolutely, and I think
Shire is doing an amazing job. He is.
Yeah, but and to kind of your point there, like I would say the casual basketball fan, college basketball fan, and the big time college basketball analyst that just so happens to follow different conferences like you and I, like what we hear about is John Shire becoming John Cryer, right? And crying about the court storming and we everything still gets elevated when Duke loses, right? And so when they come out and there's some tough SOBs and they hold the number 1 team in the country the way they did, then they make all the little plays and you're like, man, this is a good team. Like we do. It is kind of like an annual reminder in some ways of about Duke and these good Duke teams. By the way, I have to mention, it was a great night for Duke, bad night for the biggest Dookie in my life. And that is my dad, who was in DC on a business trip and could not get, this is the common man here, alum, Fuqua class of 85, could not find a ticket to get in the building for less than $400, man. That's nuts.
What a statement.
That's nuts. That is good sports, knocking out the common man. The guy who just wants to go see his alma mater.
Yeah, it's like one part of me is so excited that college basketball is thriving like that. There's another part of me that's like, that sucks.
It can thrive without ticket prices like that. And that's not just college basketball, right? That's every sport, literally every sport going right now.
Yeah.
We've talked about that a lot. That bubble we think has to burst at some point.
I think it will, because even the people you talk to, a lot of people would rather watch stuff on television nowadays. I mean, there's just too much good stuff going.
Most of the time. Yep.
Yeah. Television's great. All right. Anything else from UK? Oh, let's do our Lake Waco. Let me get it up here good on the screen, because this is important. Okay, this is thanks to our friend Stephanie, and thanks to Lake Waco. I am about to embark on a live read here that I think, if I can get the word Stephanie, I'm so bad. Here it is. I can't spell, guys, so forgive me. All right. But Stephanie Beatty, with our sales department, makes it happen. She makes it happen. As cool as they come, and she just gets it, right? Well, she got this, and boy, am I happy she did. Just follow along with me here. I want to talk to you about Lake Waco Golf Club. It's a semi-private facility, okay? Which means the everyman, welcome inside, right? And it's nestled right along the north point of Lake Waco. Now, one of the few facilities in the state of Texas to have an 18-hole regulation golf course, right? Regulation golf course, as well as an executive 18-hole par 3 golf course. Now, make sure you check out their bar and grill. That's a Cam. I have seen Cam ponied up at that bar and grill more times than I care to remember. And the pro shop, well, that's where I take my guests when they beat me in golf. I end up buying them clothes at the pro shop because that's usually the gentleman's bet, which turns me into less than a gentleman, let me tell you, when I have to buy those products for other people because I want them. Become a member today. Check them out. LakeWacoGC.com for more information. LakeWacoGC.com. It's February 23rd. Our friends in the Northeast, including Cam, are under a foot or more of snow. I talked to my main man, Murph, this morning. Guy's going out of his mind in his home with his wife and his 2 kids. He can't even leave today to go to work because of the snow. He certainly can't go play golf. You could today in Central Texas, Lake Waco Golf Club. All right, Cam. Anything else?
No, man. I gotta figure out what the rest of my day's like with the spotty internet. Thankfully, it didn't lag at all. Like I heard you. I watched it back. Like we didn't have a huge lag between times. But yeah, we're gonna be under 2 feet this week.
Under 2 feet?
Yeah. Like we're going to be under it. It might be over 2 feet. We're going to be buried, man. Buried. As soon as after I do my show, the thing we got to do here, Pete, is I got to shovel the backyard as well, because the first blizzard we had this year and this one too will be too much snow for the dog. Like the dog cannot go out and pee. Like it's too high, the snow. So we have like a slalom track in the backyard. Like figure eights, so that she can run around and do her business. So I'm gonna have to redo some of those tracks, maybe do some more new ones out there. We've got the car like pretty much buried, like in the back of the driveway. It's not gonna be able to come out till probably I do my live show at the Blackmore Bar this Thursday, 5 p.m. Eastern time.
Whoa, you got a live show?
Got a remote.
Okay, let's talk about this real quick.
Okay.
A live, you have a live remote in Boston.
Yep. Charlestown.
And who set that up?
Stephanie did, of course.
Woo!
I'm telling you, man. No lies spoken. Stephanie got this done. We got a banner coming to my house, and some koozies coming to the house to have up there to give some things away. Like we got to figure out how we're going to get the speaker working for the crowd, but it's going to be a great time. Blackmore Bar, Thursday, 5:00. It's right before Pete. It's right outside the Garden. It's like walking distance from the Garden, and it's right before the first Bruins game back after the Olympic break. So how awesome will that be?
Dude, I'm about to lose my shit. Metal. I mean, pardon my language. That is amazing news.
It's huge, man. I am so grateful for this team that we've got here and Steph putting that together like that.
If this was anybody else at the network, I'd be pissed right now and be like, why am I, I'd be like off on a different, because we have the best shows. Look, man, you watch those promos. I'm like, everybody should be watching our show. That's all I'm saying. Okay. We'll be back tomorrow with more on the Pete Sousa Show. Jay Wright joins us tomorrow. Yes, that Jay Wright, not my friend Jay Wright who went to Haverford High School. The real Jay Wright. Okay. We'll check you tomorrow. Thank you, Slovacics. Thank you, Cam. Thank you, Chris Visser. And thank you, everybody, for watching today. And go find Matt Babcock. BabcockHoops.com. I'm telling you, if that's what I listen to before I call these games on major networks, because I want to seem insightful and sound insightful when I talk about these guys, it's what you should read getting ready for the draft. Okay? We'll see you tomorrow.
It's the Pete Sousa Show. Sports.
We definitely love our relationship and love Extraco. It's been an amazing experience.
They made the PPP process easier. They were reaching out to me saying, what can I do to help you? That made a huge difference because my stress level, when we shut down, to afterwards was night and day.
Our experience with Extraco has been phenomenal since the very beginning, so we love Extraco.
Nobody tells our stories better than our clients.
The difference is stark. I was rear-ended at 70 miles an hour. I was injured, had a concussion. The insurance company, they delayed. They were playing games from the initial conversation. They weren't going to help me. The biggest thing I learned through this is that you can't go through this alone. I called Daniel Stark. They were going to help me and everything was going to be all right. Daniel Stark got me 10 times the insurance company offered.
The difference is stark.
Nalgene Outdoor has been your trusted companion, fueling adventures and helping protect the planet. We're committed to reducing waste, improving access to clean water, and providing simple, safe, and sustainable products for you and your family. NALGENE.com.
Our professionals are not only experts in managing urgent concerns, but also in providing top-notch preventative health care. We're proud to connect pet owners to a vast network of licensed veterinary professionals ready to address any immediate concerns. Book your first appointment today.
Sports.
This has been a Rogue Media Network production.